barbecue fans. Here we are again out in the patio. We're missing our left side, Charles Baldwin, this week. He's got a pretty heavy lift over at work, so we're going to miss him for sure. But Tommy the Butcher's here.
I'm stepping in.
Yeah, here we go. And long awaited, our friend here, Chef Andy Teixeira from Newport Vineyards. He's been busy ever since his fire dinner, which Tommy was at. And we actually have a little video for you folks to watch in a couple minutes. But welcome, Chef. Thanks for being here.
Thanks you for having me.
Yeah.
It's great to be here, you know.
Good. I mean, yeah, we love having you here. You light up our world with not only like barbecue stories, but just the amazement that goes into being a chef, running a team, and forget about fire dinner for a minute, just running a restaurant.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, what do you open up there? You open up 5 days a week?
We're open 7 days a week.
You're open 7 days a week?
We're open 7 days a week, and on Sundays we have 2 restaurants going out, 3 with the outdoor patio going at once. So we're doing brunch, we're doing service in the brewery, and then we have our street, little street cart that we set up with charcuterie and tacos and brisket, a lot of barbecue brisket, pulled pork.
When do you come up for air? How do you,
exactly.
How do you manage all that?
After being in a kitchen for 45
it's
years,
just,
Tommy,
it's in your blood.
Yeah, it's almost like breathing.
Yeah.
It just all lays out for me,
Yeah.
Not by lack of doing a lot of trial and error.
Definitely.
That's awesome. Well, if you don't mind, I want to get into this video as soon as possible. So we're going to have you guys take a look at this fire dinner up at Newport Vineyards. This year was a special celebration. It was the 30th year of the vineyards. So they had a little bit of celebration going on there, which is great. So take a look at this, and then we're going to tell you all about it as soon as we're done.
Hey, Tommy the Butcher for Wise Guys BBQ. We're here at Newport Vineyard in Middletown, Rhode Island, and we're here to attend their Legacy Wine Fire Dinner. It's a semi-annual event. This year it's extra special because we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of Newport Vineyards. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce a 2025 James Beard Nominee and Executive Chef here at Newport Vineyards, Andy Teixeira.
How you doing, Tommy?
Doing great. So glad to be here.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
happy you could have us.
Yeah.
And 30 years. That's that's a huge milestone.
Yeah, it's the company's amazing, and to be open for 30 years. I mean, it's a test to the 2 brothers that own the place.
Yep.
They're just solid guys who just constantly are trying to make their property better. I've been part of it for 9 years, and it's just been amazing.
And this is your 5th fire dinner?
5th fire dinner here. We've done a couple at other farms is how we got it going. And then we were like, why are we doing this at another farm? We do it at our farm. And here we are. And it's evolved to this now. We did the first one was small in the field. This is like a little bit nicer, a little bit more elevated. And yeah, it's a really cool thing.
So I got to ask you, whose creation was this? Who thought of this? Like, this is absolutely amazing. I'm absolutely...
It was kind of birthed out of necessity. Like Wishing Stone Farm asked me to do a dinner on their farm, and when I got there, they really didn't have any cooking apparatus, so we just built the fire and started going, and it just kind of came natural to me. I listen to the voice in my head that tells me how to cook, and it was like, this is what we're doing. And we've done whole fish. We've actually roasted a whole swordfish one time. Which,
interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so we just build an 8-foot by 4-foot fire and throw shit on it.
That's amazing. So, yeah, so let's just cut to the chase. Let's talk about the menu. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of dynamics.
Yeah.
We're talking about cooking with live fire. We're talking about wine pairings. We're talking about prioritizing estate-grown ingredients as well as local ingredients.
Yep.
How the hell did you come up with this menu? This is like absolutely amazing. And of course, you must have had a lot of teamwork getting involved with this, some of the winemakers.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things, a lot of parts, a lot of moving pieces.
I'm lucky because our wines are so good and they're easy to cook for. And then we just, I look at things, the ingredient list. It's like kind of like being on Chopped. I get an ingredient list. This is what we have to play with, and then I make a menu. And then it's what have we done, what haven't we done, what do I want to try? Like there's things we're doing today that we've never done before.
That's...
But I also tell my team there's no try. We don't have a shot at failing. Like we're doing this one shot, one kill.
Right.
Go in and we're gonna nail
Right.
it, And as long as you visualize it, it'll work.
So is everything you're doing today not everything is a repeat. Some of the things.
A couple
you've
of things are repeats,
Gotcha.
but a lot of it's
Yeah.
new. You know, every year we have a theme. This year our theme is to bring the flavor of the fire into the food by using a lot of ash, using a lot of embers, doing different things like that, so you can actually taste fire in every bite.
That's
Yeah.
interesting, and that leads me to my next question. When you are creating the menu, when you're creating a dish, and you're doing a wine pairing with it, is it the wine that leads the way for the dish, or is it the dish that leads the way to the wine, or is there a give and take on both of those?
It's weird for me. Like, I had the list of wines in front of me, but I never was like, all right, you know, I'm gonna make a dish for the Great White.
Yep.
I write out the menu, then I'm like, all right, Great White will work here. This is gonna work here. This will work here. You know, and it's like, it always just kind of falls in. And then, you know, sometimes it's like, we don't want to go with this wine than that. So can we flip the courses? You know,
Right.
so once we get it paired up, then it's a matter of the shuffling the order of the courses. Plus also how you want to eat. You know, I want to, there's different flavors that I want in your
Right.
palate, you know,
Yep.
so some things may, you know, I don't want to give you fish and then give you, you know, something really soft after that. So it's shuffling it around. And our wine, like I said, our wines are so awesome that it's easy
Yeah.
to just build into.
What's going to be a challenge too is pairing wine to this type of
Yeah.
cooking.
Because
You're talking about
big flavor.
open fire, big flavor, smoke,
Yep.
char, all those things. And how does that factor into, like, what type of pairings? What do you look for to pair a wine with barbecue or any open?
Well, you know, you can bring the fire flavor in, but you can still make it very delicate. You
Yep.
can still play with it. Like, you know, we have this like beet ash where we charred beets till they were ash and then pulverized it. So like we're sprinkling that on bluefish pate, you know, and then you pair that with the wine that we're doing, which is our Riesling, which is a real acidic wine. So we got that rich bluefish pate, the earthiness of that ash, you know, and then we got a little pickled spring garlic and a little nasturtium, which is peppery.
Right, right.
And then we put that on one of our rye toasts that we bake in our bake shop. But like now you got a big rich dish, so we need something to cut through that.
Yep.
So that's where our Riesling, boom, that's gonna just clean your mouth, get you ready. The goal is to, you take a bite, you take a drink, and you're like, I gotta do that again.
Yep.
You know, and you just wanna keep doing it again, like till
Right.
you're like, oh, that was awesome.
What would you say are some of the highlights on tonight's menu? What are the dishes that you really have a lot of heart for?
You know, honestly, they're like my children. I love them all. You know, I
There
love
you
them
go.
all equally.
Well said.
You
well
know,
said.
the duck and flowers is a really cool
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
You know, because we're doing duck wings, and then we do a duck confit overnight, and then we pull out of the duck fat, and then we're gonna char them on the grill, and we toss them in dandelion jelly. And that's cool because we harvested the dandelions out here in the spring when all the dandelions are coming in. Me and my team go out pick dandelions, and we made this jelly out of it so that we could have it just specifically for this dinner. So I'm
Right.
actually thinking about this dinner in May. You know, like we're gonna make dandelion
Yeah.
jelly because we're gonna make the duck and flowers. You
Yeah,
know?
it's definitely not a night before
Yeah,
approach.
yeah.
Now, you said you have a 2-acre farm.
Yeah, we have 2-acre garden
That's-
out there. We're 125 acres of preserved farmland with 70 acres of active vines. We have 2 acres of garden. We have 3 greenhouses. Like, so we're like a culinary. You know, this is a chef's dream. You
What
know?
are some of the crops you have out there?
Right now? Garlic, tomatoes, squash, eggplant, 4 or 5 different kinds of pepper. You know, it's the coolest thing we're growing. We grow popcorn that we actually pop and
Really?
serve in our brewery. So it's state-grown popcorn.
No kidding.
Yeah. So we're growing popcorn. We do a lot of cool things, you know. So
And as far as local growers,
all local growers too. Everything is sourced in. I try to keep all my food off the plane.
Yep.
Is my pretty
Gotcha.
much my mantra. You know, we do support some small local family farms. You know, the lamb tonight's from Hopkins, Southdown.
Yep.
Donnie Hopkins, a good friend of mine. You know, I call him like, Donnie, you know, I need 12 lamb saddles. All right, chef, we'll get working on it for you. You know, I had to call him months ago because it's a small farm. We got to get 12
Right.
lamb saddles together. You know, so we support all the local small family farms because at the end of the day, that's what Newport Vineyards is. 2 brothers that own it, and we're a farm.
Nice.
We're a
yeah.
small family farm. It's been in the family. You know, we've been open for 30
Yep,
years.
yep.
So it's, you know, it just makes sense to support all the other small family farms in the area.
Even your proteins, you
All
source
the protein,
locally?
everything.
That's.
I have to have my chicken order in on Monday morning
Yep.
so that it can go to slaughter so they can be here on Thursday. It's literally like that, you know, and that comes from upstate New York. So, yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to tonight's event, and I've been looking forward to it for quite a while now.
It's gonna be fun. I've been
yeah.
telling Vinny about it for a while. He's off
Wish he could be
gallivanting.
here.
Yeah, he's out gallivanting in Croatia.
Yeah, well, yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
All right, if there's, at the end of the night, all your diners are all going home, what one big takeaway would you like them to feel as they leave tonight's event?
I want them to know that they, had an experience. I think restaurants get away from that. We're not giving a meal, we're giving an experience. And I want them to go away going, wow, what an experience that was. The flavors are amazing. I want them to be in the car talking about what was your favorite, what was your favorite. We even do this thing called car snacks where we give you a little thing for the ride home, just in case you haven't had enough food. We give you a little snack on the ride home. But really, it's ultimately just to trigger your memory of the night.
Yep.
Be like, oh, let's have this last little snack. And then it's like, oh yeah, we had all this stuff. So thank
It
you,
was a
Tommy.
pleasure, Andy, and
I'll talk to you through
we'll
the
see
night.
you soon.
If you want,
Thanks
we
for
can
being with us.
Yeah, we can catch up at the end too if you want.
Absolutely,
definitely.
absolutely.
But I got a fire to tend.
All right.
I'll see you guys.
All right, Andy.
Thank you.
Take care. Get to work.
Yep.
All right, folks, wasn't that amazing? I mean, I can't even, and Tommy and I, we sit around when we prep other shows, and we just constantly go back to this video because the amount of work that goes into getting that done. Huh, Tommy?
I mean, I could watch that video over and over and over again. I was there. I saw it live. I saw it all play out from the first plating right to the end. And, I'm still amazed at the execution of that entire plan and how it all came to be with an entire staff such as that. I mean, we're cooking on live fire, and you have to move that product from from the fire onto an assembly line, and it was masterfully done, and there were some highlights to that menu. One of the questions I asked Andy was, just give me one thing that you would like your guests to take away from that event,
Appreciate
that
the
evening,
most.
that they would appreciate the most. Well, I want to share the two menu items that I appreciated the most, and I appreciated these items the most because we're taking I'm going to just say, you're taking low-level fruit, I'm speaking figuratively now, and elevating it to a masterpiece. And not only something that you wouldn't expect to be that great, or items that are so simple that all of a sudden just explode into something that you'll always remember. And the one dish I want to bring up that, to me, was the highlight for me that night was those duck wings. Andy, it's like, who thinks of duck wings? Everybody knows duck breast. It's a delicacy.
Yeah.
But when you get to the rest of the duck, the legs, this duck confit, but that's what you did with the wings. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
So where'd that come from, Chef? Was that masterminded by you, or?
Yeah, that's me. So the whole fire dinner is all my brain. The dessert component is collabed with my pastry team.
Okay.
But I push them in a certain direction. We are a teaching facility.
Yep.
So at every level we're teaching. So I, like I was saying earlier, I bring 45 years of experience, a literal lifetime of kitchens. So I've seen a lot. So if I can bring an extra idea to someone who's highly trained, like my pastry chef,
Sure.
it's just another way of looking at it.
So let me pause you a minute there. I want to ask you, because some of our guests who don't know or not familiar with your fire dinner, what's the theme? What are you trying to do with your local foods, your
So
gardens?
we are what I call a farm-driven restaurant, meaning that we only source what grows in New England. We try to keep all of our food off a plane. We do get some protein out of the Midwest, and we can talk about that later because I was just at those farms. They're still small family farms. A lot of people think farm to table means local only.
Right.
But there's farms all over this country that
Sure.
need support that are still small family farms. So, why not use the trucking system, support the truckers, which we love.
Right.
And they can truck some meat to us. So we source small local family farms. Now, the fire dinner theme this year was our 30th anniversary, and we celebrated our legacy wines.
Okay.
So everything was paired with our legacy wines.
Fantastic.
Which was, super cool. But a lot of my food pairs with the wines. The wine is such good drinking wine
Yep.
that you can pair most food. Like I I can cook something, then walk into the shop and go, that wine will go
Sure,
with it.
sure.
You know, we have 30 different, you know, between blends and, you know, straight varietals. So there's something for every dish.
So with the duck wings that we were talking about.
Yeah, so the duck
did you have
wings-
a special wine in mind for that, or was that a part of a small course you had a
No,
wine
so
with?
that was, I can't remember. I think we paired that with the Merlot, if I remember. I'd have to check the menu. It was
Okay.
a little while ago.
All right.
But what we do, so the duck wings is, I did a fire dinner a few years ago, and I kept having these farmers ask me to take flowers. So like,
Flowers?
yeah, edible flowers.
Okay.
So that became their rage. And they constantly, Chef, I got flowers, I got this flowers, I got this flowers. And at the time, my wife Emily and I had gone and foraged dandelions in the spring.
Oh, wow.
We we found this dandelion patch, not like out in your yard where like who knows what's happening, but like we were out foraging mushrooms and ramps. So we were looking for ramps and found this patch of dandelions.
What's a ramp?
A ramp is a wild leek.
Okay.
Highly coveted by us chefs in spring.
Yeah.
You can't cultivate them. You can only find them in certain areas.
Yeah.
They start out at like 25,
Is
30
that your
$.
nationality in you that does that work?
Yeah, you know, like to dig in the dirt, you know.
Get down and dirty.
Yeah, you know, well, you know, when you can eat right out of the earth too, like, you know, that's, you
It's
know.
something special.
Yeah,
Oh,
I love when I take my students out to the garden and we stop and pick a piece of purslane out of the middle of the walking path, and they're like, what's that? That's purslane. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Eat it. And they look at me and I eat it first, and, you know, with the wild garlic and all this stuff. So we had got a bunch of dandelions and we made this dandelion jelly, which, you know, you take all the flowers off the dandelions and you make a tea, and then after you make this tea and let it steep for a week in the cooler, then you add sugar and make this syrup, and then you set it with some pectin and make this actual jelly. It kind of looks like honey.
Oh, wow.
And I made it and had no idea what I was going to do with it. Like,
Yeah.
we just had it, you know, it was like one of those things, all right, we'll put it on the shelf and something will come along for it. You know,
Right.
like, you know, a lot of times I'm cooking without
Amazing.
intention, you know, just
Right.
like, let's make this, it's an ingredient. We'll put it in our pantry and something will come along. So then everybody was asking me for flowers. So I already had the flower jelly. Then everybody's asking me for flowers. Then I had a farmer who was like, hey, I got a lot of duck wings. Can you help us out? And what I love to do with the farmers is, part of my other nationality is to cut a deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
so I go to the farmers, you know, sell retail. Like when you go to your farmer's market, the duck breast is going to sell premium.
Sure.
Every, you know, home cook's going to buy that. Same thing with pork, same thing with beef, same thing with lamb.
Yeah, who wants duck wings? That's
Right,
that's what killed me with
Right,
that.
you know, well, it's
that
the same
dish.
thing.
I'm like,
you know,
what?
and I do that with all the protein farmers. You know, I won't buy the ribeyes, sell those
Yeah,
at a
right.
premium. But what are you going to do with that trim? What are you going to do with that eye round,
Yeah.
that top round? Because I can make magic with that stuff
Right.
and cut me a deal. Like, I'll buy it at a good price. I'll take
Right.
it off your hands. I'll take a lot of it. So this was a farmer asking me to help him with the wings. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll take the wings. I think we'll throw them on the char grill. They'll be delicious.
Nice.
So, but then I was taught to make a really good duck confit.
Okay.
So I said, you know, duck wings aren't like chicken wings. They need time.
Yes.
You know, because they're tough.
Yeah.
You know,
It's,
so
it's like a turkey wing.
Right,
Turkey
yeah.
wings are nasty. Like
Yeah, you gotta
Thanksgiving,
cook the
who
crap
wants
out
the
of 'em.
wings at Thanksgiving? Nobody touches them.
right, unless they're cooked to death,
Yep.
and then they can come off the bone. But they're tough because it's a well-worked muscle. So I said, well, what if we put the duck confit to the wings, which is a lot of, you know, putting a salt cure on them overnight, and then from there cooking them in duck fat overnight in a really low oven.
Oh, wow.
So what we're doing is we're cooking them in their own fat at
Yeah.
and lots of aromatics and good salt, and cooking them overnight, and then straining them out of the fat, cooling them off,
Yep.
and then we refired them on the grill.
Oh,
I was just
geez.
going to ask
That must
how you
be-
executed that for the fire aspect.
Yeah, so
So
then
you did the confit, and then you got them
yeah,
on the
so
grill.
it was a 3-day project.
Yeah, so
You know?
kind of like crisp them up a little bit.
Yeah, so
after you got
to
them out of the
retempt
confit.
them. So even a lot of barbecue guys that have restaurants, they smoke their wings, and then when it's time to pick them
Yes.
up, they drop them in the fryer
Yeah,
later.
just to get that
crisp 'em up.
texture,
Yeah,
crispiness
because
on
you
it.
want that. So that's what we
Gotcha.
do with the fire, is that we put them on there, and then now I got all that salty, rich umami flavor. All it needed was sweet.
Yeah.
And I was like, we got that dandelion jelly, right?
I was chewing on the bones. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I was
Was
just
that good,
looking
huh?
for. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
they're-
that was
they're-
the
they're-
highlight
Yeah, they're
for me.
stupid good.
I was expecting a single at best,
Yeah.
and I got a home run.
Yeah.
yeah, you thought it was a filler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, who's
Yeah.
expecting anything out of duck wings? So I want to get to the second item on the menu.
All right, what's that?
So now we're talking something so simple that, you know, like, for example, bread and butter. You know, how can that be? He knows where I'm going with this. Bread and butter. All right, what are you going to do with bread and butter to kind of make it shine? What you did was just blew me away.
Hey, what'd he do? I
It
wasn't
was
there.
a
Whoa.
sourdough. You can explain why you did it, but you served it with a whipped lardo. That
what's a
was
whipped lardo?
so simple that I'm telling you.
So
Tell us what you did, how you did that.
So that was So my wife promised me to watch the F words. She's like, next time you go, watch the F words.
You
So
looked good last time.
Yeah. So this was totally me wanting to F with your brain.
Mm-hmm.
This was exactly what it was. It was like, so how can I trick you?
Yeah.
You know, and I had people hesitate to grab it because what did it look like?
It looked like just a pile of shit.
Yeah, like a charcoal briquette, you know, like we had it like looking like charcoal briquettes.
Right.
So we
Well,
cut
yeah,
them
it looked like that. I'm
square,
kinda-
yeah, and we
I think I saw it in
and
the video.
then
Yeah.
what we did was we had this pile of stuff that was whipped.
Yeah.
We broke down a pig
Okay.
and we had all the fat back.
Okay.
All this beautiful heritage fat back.
By the way, this is your specialty.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Pork
and
and
fire.
pork
like-
leftovers. You.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are the
yeah.
guy.
Pork. You know, pork is my wheelhouse, and it's my favorite ingredient. I
Yeah,
actually was interviewed
yeah.
one time, and they said, "What's your favorite ingredient?" I said, "Pork." I
Yeah.
put that in anything I can.
I forget what Chef said, but pork fat rules.
Oh,
yeah.
That was Emerald Lagasse.
Was that Emerald Lagasse?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Back in-
so we took the pork
Portuguese.
fat,
Yeah.
and we took a whole lot of herbs, like a ridiculous amount of herbs and bay leaves
Nice.
and garlic scapes, and put them in a pot with water
Yeah.
and all this raw pork fat, and brought it up to a boil. Now, when you do that, the fat will separate from the water,
Okay.
but it infuses with all that herbs. So then we skimmed out all the fat, strained it all out, and we chilled it. Got it super cold, and then we put it in the mixer with the
Sounds
whip
fantastic.
and whipped the hell out of it with a little bit of white balsamic vinegar, a little Trebbiano vinegar,
Yeah.
a little bit of honey and a sea salt,
Oh wow.
and whipped it so it becomes bright white. It almost looks like frosting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, right? Yeah.
And how did you get that sourdough, that black color?
So we
It
used
looked like a piece
activated.
of lump charcoal.
We used activated charcoal, edible activated charcoal.
Interesting.
And I purposely had the bake shop team take flour and put it on certain parts. You know, like when you
Yeah.
burn a charcoal briquette, so some was
Yeah, yeah,
dark and
ashy.
some
Yeah,
was
yeah.
ashy.
Yeah.
You know, and then and the sourdough is really cool because what we do with the sourdough is it's our starter was started 8 years ago from wild yeast off our grapes, off our Merlot grapes.
Oh wow.
So our sourdough is our sourdough.
Oh,
Like
nice.
that's nobody
Nice.
else's starter. We didn't use flour. Like there's no other sourdough starter on the planet
That's so cool.
because that's from our grapes that we grow at Newport Vineyards.
That's cool. And that was your intent, right? Your intent was, I think you said it in the video, bring the fire to the food.
Yes,
Right?
so-
You want a little bit of fire in every bite, kind of.
Yeah.
thing.
So what was so this dinner we had was my team was green.
Okay.
They've never worked a fire dinner.
You'd never
before.
know it.
Well, it was,
I
they're
didn't see any hiccups.
They're my banquet team. I'll tell you something. Yeah,
I'm
you
sure.
know, like,
I'm sure
you-
from your point of view there were, but as a guest, I didn't see any hiccups.
Awesome. Like, yeah, because I thought I was barking the whole time. 'Cause, yeah.
Sometimes it's tough to be cordial, right?
Yeah, you know, we were in it. You know,
Yeah.
I got, you know, you got an audience. You know,
Yeah.
when you see we're like up on a stage almost. You know, working,
Yep.
and they're down on the,
So
you know,
cool.
on the lower patio.
Now, those guys, your interns?
Some are interns, but a lot of them are my team. That's my event team.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you know, that's my event team. So they're seasoned at like putting up
putting
dinners.
up with you.
Well, putting up dinners, you know, they're seasoned at plating.
Yep.
They're seasoned at all of that, you know, so they understand, you
Yep.
know, the action. You know, it was the fire part of it.
Right.
You know. So what I was saying is they're all green. So normally we've brought swords to the table.
Oh, yeah.
We're loaded with, like Churrasco style,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We've done that. We've done we've brought torches to the table.
Right.
You know, where we've brought, we've given people marshmallows on sticks, and we've walked down with torches and toasted their marshmallow at the table. But I just wasn't comfortable. That was like with my seasoned vet team. You know, we
Right.
worked into these. So I said, well, I still want to get all the fire on the people's plate. So why don't we try to get as much fire flavor?
Gotcha.
With, we did a lot of
Yep,
ash.
yep.
We had that beet ash. We had an onion ash, so we did, the charcoal briquette.
This is
So we wanted to bring so that you were tasting fire. It's like the ultimate barbecue.
it was.
Yeah.
This is
Now-
Tommy Sand. This is your type of sandbox.
telling you, now-
This is where you like to play.
You mentioned you lost a fire. So this is
Yeah.
I've got a question, and it's going to answer my own question in asking this, because I highly, highly anticipated the lamb saddles. Now, if you watch the video, you can see the lamb saddles are tied up with string, and they're hanging from, like a tripod with a
Piece of pipe.
piece
yeah,
of pipe
black
going
pipe.
against,
Yeah, we made
and they're
all that.
hanging suspended above the flame. And when it was served, it was a little off temp.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that may have been the case if you lost a fire. That was the only.
Yeah, you know what it was? That was a tough plate because there was a lot of steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't just, like a lot of the plates, like the scallop was like a bone, 3 components and it was out.
Yeah.
That was 3 plates.
Okay.
If you think about, remember
Yeah.
the course, because
That's
we
right,
had
it was
the
towards the
polenta,
end.
we had the zucchini,
Yep.
and we had that, that lamb. And
And I'm assuming the lamb had to be sliced, right?
right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we had
sliced.
to cut off all the strings
Yeah.
and slice it.
Yeah.
Regardless, it was amazing anyway.
Yeah.
So it just, I'm watching and I'm watching, I'm watching you guys, I'm watching the crowd, and I'm like watching how fast you're eating. Like I'm standing there watching, also trying to cook and like make sure everything's ready, but I'm watching like to the last split second on when we can start plating this. I'm also trying to do the math in my head of how long is it going to take us to plate all this food.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm like, all right, so I don't know if you can hear, but I was like, all right, you and you are going to be one team. You and you are going to be another team.
Sure.
I'll slice lamb. You cut strings. You white plates. So this is how it's all going to go. And I'm making that up on the fly. Like,
Right.
there's no rehearsal dinner. Like, I look at everybody and go, all right, this is what we're going to do right now.
How many guests did you have?
70.
70?
Yeah.
That's a nice crowd.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good crowd,
It's your moderate wedding right there, right?
Yeah,
That's-
it's it's big for that style of service.
Sure, of course.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of tasting menu.
Yep.
Dinners are usually 40. Like comfortable. But we're a go big or go home. And then that makes it because we give some seats away, we give some to charity to auction off. Like there's the Brain Injury Foundation. I give away 4 seats for them to auction off. It always fetches a giant ticket for them.
Great.
So to still cover our costs.
Yep.
Because it's not a cheap dinner to put out.
Yeah, I
When
can
you see the
imagine.
food we put out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how many
Yeah.
courses? There were six courses.
Yeah,
maybe 7?
I think it stretches into like with the car snacks and like close to 9 and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it was.
All right. What's a car snack? I happen to know, but I want our audience to know. Chef, what's a car snack?
something to eat on the ride home just in
Yeah.
case you didn't have enough.
That's awesome. You think of everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was one of those things, like especially like coming out to the vineyard. Well, one thing I learned, Rhode Island people have a hard time doing that ride.
Right.
Got to go over 2 bridges,
Yeah.
oh shit, So I think there's a little bit of that. So I was like, it's a good enough ride. Why don't we give them a little something?
Yep.
Just a little something sweet. Or if you're going back to your room or going back to whatever,
Yep.
and you take it out of your bag and you're sitting there, it just re-triggers that memory of the
Oh,
dinner.
abs-
It just, like I learned a long time ago, they say you don't die till someone stops talking about you.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like, that's how you stay alive forever, is as long as they're talking about you, you're alive.
Yeah,
so if I can extend my dinner into your home,
Sure.
or, or into your hotel room or whatever it may be.
You did it. You
yeah,
accomplished it. Yep.
like,
Nah,
That's your
cool.
legacy.
Yeah,
that's
the
The legacy fire dinner.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, so that's my intention.
Well, I don't know
there.
about the two bridges, but I'll tell you this: we're doing more and more content like that documentary that we just showed our folks, and other people that are getting on board with it. Everybody I mentioned about, first of all, they all know Newport Vineyard,
Right.
And then I mentioned you, and I mentioned the fire dinner, and everybody's like I just kicked them in the shin. They're like, wait a minute, I need to know when the next one is. I gotta how do I go to that? I'm like, you sign up on the newsletter and you go. It's not hard, right?
Yeah, it's not hard to find, but it is kind of secret. We have a full calendar.
Mm-hmm.
We're selling 2027 right now.
Wow.
As far as events.
That's
We're a
fantastic.
wedding, you want to have a wedding on a vineyard in Newport, and it's a perfect setting, especially the way we do it, all farm driven, locally sourced, all 100% scratch. Like, we make all the bread, the butter, everything, done there. So your wedding, is about the food.
That's fantastic, because not every restaurant can boast that right now.
Right.
Some people they're twisting trying to fill the house.
Right.
So it's great that you're having that problem. That's a good problem to have.
So what we do is come late winter, early spring, in the first quarter somewhere.
Yep.
The GM and I will look at the calendar and where can we stick a fire dinner?
Yeah.
And it's usually the cheat code is usually around 4th of July.
Yeah.
Because that's not a huge wedding time.
Okay.
So usually, and we want to have it on a Friday
Yep.
or a Saturday. We want to have it on a day where people can come. They're not rushing in. We've tried it on Thursdays, and what happens is we have a 6 o'clock start, and people are rushing.
Right.
They're rushing to get there,
No,
rushing from work, rushing in. So we try to have it. I thought about a Sunday afternoon.
Right.
Would be kind of cool, like a 3 o'clock start.
Yeah, but you know what? The way you run it, it's a party, right?
Right.
So who wants to have a party on a Sunday?
Right.
Friday, Saturday is the way to go.
Yeah,
I think
work
you
the
got
next day.
I think you got it right on the nose there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're also you're dodging the weather. You got to worry about that.
We canceled last year.
I
'cause of the rain.
know.
Yeah.
I was so bummed I was going.
And we didn't have a backup date. So now, and that was a lesson learned,
Yeah.
that's never happened to us before. So now we put in, when we look at the calendar, all right, here's a Friday. What's the Sunday look like as the rain?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I would expect you'd have to have a backup.
Yeah, so-
you got to procure all your
Right.
all your product.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
you know,
That's
you get
what I
rained
mean.
out the night before.
Right.
What do you do? How do you
So
react? and recover?
last year we actually pulled the trigger because we were watching the weather, and we try to watch it like a week out.
Yeah.
We were like, it was like a 90% chance rain 4th of July, so like 4 days out, because we don't start working on it till like 4 days, you know, unless there's something that I'm
What a
curing.
huge lift. What a huge lift.
Yeah, if I'm curing something, like there's some stuff that we work on for weeks, but we can move it into the restaurant. We're always working. We always have something going.
Yeah.
Right now, I have a pig head curing in the walk-in right now.
Right.
So
Hey, you were telling me, right? We were talking inside a little bit. You're telling me you're cooking for 2, sometimes 3 restaurants a weekend.
in
your facility, and then whatever events you got going on top
Right.
of that.
So we have like on Sunday, well, every Friday, Saturday is the upstairs restaurant, and we have the outdoor grill we call the tank patio. So outside the tank room, we have that set up where we have like street tacos, brisket sandwiches. We have a charcuterie cart. We just had a custom charcuterie cart built, which is super cool. Where you can walk up and have your own like custom charcuterie, cart or cheese board built, or a charcuterie board. And we do this thing, chocolate salami.
What?
Yeah.
Shut up.
So we make a ton of pretzels.
Meg, get my keys.
Yeah. There.
So it's actually a thing. It's a Portuguese thing, technically, but that I found out. But so what you do is we take really good dark chocolate, melt it down,
Yep.
and we fold in crumbled dried pretzels that we make,
Oh, wow.
and pistachios, and form it into a salami shape, chill it, and
Slice
then
it.
Well, first we roll it in powdered sugar so it looks like the white casing on the.
Ah,
it kind
Oh,
of looks like a
no.
morcilla because it's that
Yeah.
dark with the white
You got
casing
every
on
detail covered.
it. Yeah, and we put chocolate salami in it. You want to talk about a mind F?
Yeah,
You know, because you're looking at it, you see all the speckles. You know, you're like, and and it's like
Fantastic.
sweet and rich and salty because of the pretzel.
Sure.
Yeah, so we make this chocolate salami outside. We're just having fun. We're trying to make as much recognizable but unique food.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, it's all fire cooked, and you don't want to say, I went to a barbecue. I mean,
right.
We are the Wise Guys BBQ. I'm not insulting barbecue, but you don't want to sit down and pay for barbecue, right? You want to do something like
not
you're
at
doing,
$175 a person.
There you go. Exactly.
Exactly. You don't want to go to, well, I have an offset trailer smoker, and I smoke a brisket and ribs, anything.
Nice.
I'll put in, I'm a barbecue. I buy quarter cherry wood at my house just for the smoker.
Yeah.
Good
for you. That's awesome.
But, you can't, like my barbecue guys don't want to eat like that. You guys do, but like my regular guys that come to my barbecue pop-ups,
Sure.
they're interested, but they're going to be like,
Yeah,
put a brisket on that fire,
right.
they're not going to be as adventurous
Right.
as, because think about this fire dinner. You came, you had no idea you didn't see, the menu gets posted like 2 weeks before.
Yep.
But for the most part, people buy the tickets having no idea what I'm going to do.
I purposely didn't send Meg and Tommy the pictures from your Facebook the week of.
Okay.
I was like, by the way, this is what you're going to be in for. And I think they're blowing their mind. It was like, what do you mean? He's going to do all this? And like Friday, I'm like,
Yeah.
yep, that's what you're going to.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Now,
That's awesome.
we haven't talked about the wines.
Yep.
And it was a legacy wine dinner. Now,
Yep.
what amazed me was we were talking about wine pairings, and it's quite, I don't want to say easy, but usually in the culinary world, they're not pairing wines up with fire cooked
Yeah.
No, that wherever it was,
dishes.
yeah.
So, you have fire, you have smoke, you have char. What's the challenge in pairing wines up with those flavor profiles? Because it's unusual.
Well, like I said earlier, is that I wanted to bring the fire to the table, but I didn't want the fire to be the show. Mm-hmm. We're the show.
Right.
The wine is the show. The property is the
Right,
show.
exactly.
Can I actually have that?
Yep.
Well, yeah, sorry.
All of that is the show. So what we want to do is accentuate the fire flavor, but still keeping the
Since
reality of the wine,
Sure.
So we balance it with the profile of the food. Like the food isn't flat.
Right.
There's acid, there's sweet, there's texture, which that all plays off the wine, and then we add in those smoky notes. It's like a Scotch.
Yeah.
Or like a big Cabernet. Some of the bigger wines, but we're not a big wine. And that's the other thing. Our wine is great with food.
Yep.
It's great eating, drinking and eating wine.
How did your winery do this year? Was the weather good to you and things like that?
We're setting up for, it looks like a good harvest. Harvest will be in another about 3-4 weeks. Mid-September we start. When I drive out to the garden, to the produce garden, it looks full. I mean, the weather's been really good for us, for good grape growing weather. I'm not the expert, but when I ask, how's the crop look, they say it looks pretty good this year,
Yeah.
Which is great. When you are 100% estate grown, you want to have a good crop because that means you make enough wine to sell.
Yep. Absolutely.
We're doing good. It's busy.
Yeah.
The restaurants are good.
You have music out there during the week too, like Wednesdays.
Wednesdays was music. It just ended.
Yep.
We actually, what draws a huge crowd?
What?
Trivia.
No, sir.
Really?
Trivia.
What kind of trivia? Have those little devices people ring in on, or
No, we have a guy that comes.
like a DJ doing?
Yeah, like a DJ that does. He's like a trivia guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has a pretty good following. It's on Thursday nights. It might be switching to Wednesday. There's been for the winter, but it fills the brewery.
That's cool.
Yeah, and you would, people love trivia.
Yep.
He's really good at it, and it's super cool because like it fills the place. People come in and eat. They order a bunch of food, then they sit and have trivia, have a few beers.
Right.
It's over by 9:00.
Yep.
We're not a late night place.
Right.
We're done by 8-9 o'clock, even on the weekends, 9:00.
That's interesting. So you get a lot of interaction.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
playing along,
Yeah.
having
What
a
it
good
is,
time.
when you're occupied, you're not realizing like what you're consuming so much as the quantities, right? So you keep picking.
Yeah.
My wife, if you keep her at a table, she'll eat 3 hours straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She don't stop eating. But yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
So the trivia is cool, you know. But yeah. So with the fire dinner, yeah, one thing you mentioned is fire kind of went out.
And I never noticed it. I didn't realize. I didn't know. Yeah. And you can't really recover at that point. What are you
Well,
going
you
to
have to, right?
start
Yeah.
coals all over again?
So it wasn't out, but you would be surprised at how much heat you need. Like, even though we're like maybe 12 inches off the coals,
Okay.
Yeah.
if you don't have like constant
Something
coals going,
Yeah.
you don't get the heat that you think, because we had a south wind.
Yeah.
So it was coming across, you know,
You
so,
even got the wind factor.
you know,
in.
like,
The
well,
wind
that,
factor, that's amazing.
well, you have to when you're
Yeah,
building the,
yep.
you know, when you're building the fire pit, you know, because we use cinder blocks, because
Right.
the
Yep.
goal of the fire dinner, the biggest goal is to look like we were never there.
Okay.
You
clean
know,
up
When
well.
it's done and you
When you're
break
clean
when
up.
down.
we're done and
you
we
break down-
leave, there's a burn spot on the ground, and I have something to put on top of that.
Okay.
You know, like, so we want to be like we were never there.
Right,
You know,
right.
like, you know, the SEALs. We're in and out, you know. Yeah, we're done, you know. And well, the first couple dinners we did were on actual farms.
Okay.
So that's how this was really birthed, was Wishing Stone Farm used to do these farm dinners, and they would
Where are they?
Little Compton.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
and you should take the ride.
Yeah.
It's incredible. They are an incredible family,
Nice.
organic farm. They have an incredible farm stand, and they grow some beautiful produce. And Little Compton is God's country. Driving out
is.
there,
It
is
is.
like, yeah, it's incredible.
It
yeah.
is.
Yeah,
There's
and
no point beyond Little Compton.
No, and there's no
It's
easy
just-
way to get there.
No, not at all.
You know?
You're absolutely right. I've been there a couple of times. and-
So they used to do these dinners, and they would invite all the different farm chefs to cook.
Okay.
And they invited me to cook, and I get there, and they got this little tiny kitchen and like a fire pit. And I had
No
like
good.
big aspiration. I'm like, you know what? We're gonna build a big old fire, and we're gonna do this. Never
Yeah.
done it before, but I worked in a fire-driven restaurant before
Okay.
in Situate. So where the whole kitchen was fire.
Right.
You know, wood, like part of your mise en place was stacking wood. You know, like, you know,
Yeah, I
and
get
you know, and charcoal, and there was no gas. You
Right.
built a fire every day. So I knew how to control the fire. I knew.
Yeah.
So we did this dinner at Wishing Stone, and it hit.
Yeah.
And then we did another one, and food critic for the Boston Globe, they asked him in the new year, so what was your number one dinner of, I forget the year, it might have been 2018.
Okay.
What was your number one meal? And he was like, I was at this opening, I was at this, but I was at Wishing Stone Farm, and Chef Andy Teixeira did a dinner over an open fire that blew my mind.
Nice job, chef.
nice.
And I was like, wait, I think we got something
done,
here.
yeah.
You know, like, so I went to the vineyard and I said, we need to do these here.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
we need to do this. Like, this is like, check this out. This
Yeah.
is cool.
So are those guys there? Are they represented the night of the fire?
We always use some of their produce. We always use a
No. I mean your owners. Do they come down? And
Oh,
enjoy
they were
that?
there. Yeah, they
okay.
were
Yeah.
both there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
they
two
both
brothers, they
Yeah.
were there.
That's
Yep.
great. That's
Yep.
great. That's
John
nice
and
to
Paul
see.
Noons, who are
Yep.
our owners, own the vineyard and all the property. Two very hardworking men.
Yeah.
They're extremely active.
Yeah, you mentioned that they love just putting money back into that place.
Yeah, they are into, you know, it's not a driven business to let's
It's not,
see
a,
how
money,
much
it's not a money
yeah.
grab. It's not a money
No,
grab,
not
right.
at all. Not a money grab. They
Yeah.
are constantly trying, and they let us go. They let, you know, I mean, I planted 20 chestnut trees. You know,
Man,
you know,
that's
like
cool.
yeah, you know, like they really believe in, you know, what we're doing. You know, being sustainable, the farm, being a farm family. You know, they really they're great to work for.
Yeah, that fire can be tricky. I remember you were teaching me that even your cinder blocks around the border,
Yep.
depending on the wind flow, you have to
Yep.
put them flat to let the wind blow through the
Yep.
holes.
So that's what we're
or-
figuring out. So the south wind, we're
Yeah.
figuring out which way, because we don't want too much air,
Right.
But we need some, you
Sure.
know. And
Sure.
there's times where like, so the fire was going on, I started moving cinder blocks. It wasn't out, but it was. It's not that it goes out, but think about like when you restoke,
Yep.
it doesn't just light.
No. It
Yeah.
smolders, right?
You know, so it takes a little while.
Yeah.
So if you're not constantly feeding it,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, my old crew, like I had a guy, Cap Mike, who was, you know, a retired Navy captain.
Yeah.
He used to run my fire for me, but he finally retired and he's out driving in his RV. God bless him. Love the man, but you know, he used to run my fire, and he knew like, all right, I'm gonna build the fire in stages.
Yep.
So we had like stoked, ripping hot, you
Right,
know, the
yeah.
devil's butt, you
You have
know,
different zones.
right? So
Yeah.
we knew where we could cook, and
Yeah.
depending on what zone was where is what we cooked. We didn't always cook in the same spot.
Okay.
You know, so now the whole thing's kind of going out, which again, the lamb's starting to cool
Yeah,
off, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, so now I got to throw a whole lot of wood on,
Yeah.
and it's not relighting, you
Yeah.
know, it's because it's
Yeah.
like, it's just, so.
It lost its energy.
Yeah, so
basically.
now I got a sheet pan and I'm fanning
Yeah, oh,
it,
geez.
and I'm trying not to just scream at
Yeah,
everyone.
I'd be panicking at that point. But
So what you're saying, Chef? It's not like my Yoder pellet grill. Okay. All right.
It's,
I guess.
yeah, there's no
Maybe it's
temperature
a little more
dials, no.
difficult.
Yeah, but you know, nobody can unplug it on me either.
Yep.
Would you consider doing this more than once a year?
If we had, I would do it all the time. It's just space, you know,
Yeah.
time on the
Right,
calendar,
right,
you know,
yeah.
is what it comes
Do you
down
ever
to.
do this privately for anybody?
I just did one.
Did you really?
We just did a corporate. So we had a corporate group come in
At your place?
at our place,
Nice.
and they were like, "We want something unique."
Okay.
And so
There you go.
marketing was like, "Oh, really? We got something unique, you know, something you never seen before."
Yeah,
And,
right. Didn't even have to think about it.
and showed
That's
them
cool.
it, and so they wanted a scaled down version. So they did like 4 courses,
Yep.
Nice.
but it was corporate, 60 people. You know, I guided them through a menu. You know, they told me what they were looking for, you know, as far as like protein wise. And we actually did Cornish hens.
Oh wow.
That must have felt like a piece of cake.
Compared to the one you did.
Yeah.
the other
Well,
one.
no, because I try to make it as difficult as possible.
Yeah,
you know?
Just
But
your
go ahead,
nature.
go ahead.
So we did whole beef ribs
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
that we tied and hung over the fire.
like a short rib.
But the long bone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
All right.
like, you know, they call, you know, they like we took a whole rib plate
Yeah.
and we broke them down and hung them. So first I smoked them overnight to get them nice and tender and get
Yeah.
that bark
Yeah.
on 'em. Then we hung them, reef-thermed them hanging up, and we spritz them with meat stock
Okay.
the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that caramelizes on the outside.
Right.
And then we set up a couple poles with wire, and we hung Cornish game hens.
Oh, nice.
And we
I'm
slow
imagining
cooked
this.
Cornish game hens over the fire.
Yeah.
And we, you know, and I set up this, like, I do it with chains. I bought, 30, 1 foot lengths of chain and an S hook.
Yeah.
And so we would truss the birds with string and then run a chain through it and put it on the wire and just send it down the wire.
So cool.
With an S hook.
Yeah.
Listening to you, I feel like I want to be your apprentice. I'm just like, this is making me so happy listening to these stories. It's amazing.
Yeah, so we did Cornish hens, and then we did the zucchini
Yeah.
that we did for you and the polenta.
Yep.
Because I really like the way that
Oh, the
worked.
polenta. Yeah, that was another win. That was fantastic. The
We made that in
polenta.
the kitchen once. I think we almost broke our arms. turning that thing.
Yeah. Stirring the polenta.
That's great.
So, but yeah, but that group, they wanted to have s'mores. So what we did is I had my bake shop team bake off homemade grams.
Yeah.
They baked off like 3 different other types of cookies. And then we have this mold that has our logo, and so we pour chocolate into those.
Oh, cool.
So we make this coin that is about the size of the gram with
Yeah.
our logo, and we had those out. And then my bake shop made marshmallows.
Oh, nice.
So they made these big fat marshmallows, and what we did is we had the table with all the grams and chocolate and different cookies.
Yeah.
And they came up to me, got a stick with a marshmallow, toasted their marshmallow, and then they could make their own s'more with
yeah.
either a peanut butter cookie, a shortbread cookie, a chocolate chip, or a graham, and the chocolate. So like it was really cool for the corporate group to do.
So Meg stayed for dessert. Tommy didn't.
Okay.
But I guess you had a marshmallow filled with ice cream.
Yeah,
At the
yeah,
fire dinner?
yeah. We had a
She loved
toasted
that.
marshmallow. You dig that? Yeah, it was cool. So that was So that was my pastry team came up with the idea. They wanted to do a toasted marshmallow around ice cream,
Right.
and
I say yeah, right, but because I heard the story, but I can't.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
and then
It's
yeah,
kinda
and so
nuts.
then so that's how we could get some smoke on there, and then we made we took raspberry and made like a syrup, and then made it like a hard candy, so
Yeah.
it had like shards to look like fire.
Oh, so
Yeah, it was
cool.
a cool dessert. They did a nice job with it. Yeah, and then car snacks, little
Yeah.
brownies.
The
and
car
cookies.
snacks, yeah, get the car snacks in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean you taught me that when the first time I visited your restaurant. You said you're big on communal eating because you don't want people to sit down, eat their food, and be done with it. You want people to share and kind of, let me taste yours, let me taste that, because, like you said, they talk about you, right? That's what you want. Because, you can die by comparison or you can excel by comparison, but just either or, right? It's like no bad publicity. You're getting to talk about. And I haven't heard one bad thing about anything up there. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, and I think the communal eating too is, a lot of people don't realize, in our restaurant industry, and it's being talked about more, but we're not giving people a meal. We're giving people an experience.
Yes.
You come to the restaurant for an experience. You're either coming to get away from something, you're coming to celebrate something, you're coming because you're hungry, but it's still an experience.
Yep.
So if I can deliver an experience that, one, makes you want to come back, because that's our business model, like we want you to come back, but also an experience that's unique, that you're going to talk about, that you're going to tell your friends, that it's going to, maybe you're going through something and you come in and you sit down with us and have something to eat, and, all of a sudden, shit ain't so bad.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
you walk out of there with a smile.
Right, and for me, like, I just filmed a thing about the BLT.
Yep.
Like, because, right, there's four
What
of us.
BLT?
There's four of us here right now.
Yeah.
We can all close our eyes and imagine what a BLT.
Yeah.
We all know what a BLT is, right?
Yeah.
So now, as a chef, how do I give you a BLT that paints that picture in your head?
That's exactly.
I want you to have my BLT in your head.
So you had BLT at the fire dinner? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
okay. So
This
what
is
I
your
started
restaurant.
doing, so we make BLTs. BLT,
Okay.
we make this thing called Not Your Mama's BLT.
Okay.
Because it is not your mama's BLT. And what's cool about it is, and why we filmed about it is because first, we bake the bread.
Okay. Nice.
Second, we cure all the pork, smoke all the pork, slice all the pork, cook the bacon.
Yep.
Like, so that's 10 days.
Yeah.
All right. Then we grow the tomatoes.
Yeah.
We grow the arugula. I don't put lettuce, we put arugula.
Yep.
We grow the arugula. And then for the mayonnaise, we make the shallot Madeira aioli, where this little farm in Wishingstone grows us the shallots that we make, and that we roast in Madeira
Fantastic.
wine, and then we make a mayonnaise out of that.
Oh, man.
But then we take the bread, and instead of toasting the bread,
Yeah.
I slather it with Vermont butter, and we put it on a flat top, like a grilled cheese.
Like a grilled cheese.
Yeah.
And we toast that, and then make the BLT with our bacon,
Getting hungry?
thick cut tomato with sea salt on it, and pepper, and the arugula.
Right.
So now when you have this BLT, you're like,
Yeah.
first off, this ain't my mama's BLT, But secondly, you're gonna think about now when I say, tell me about a BLT, you can go Newport
You
Vineyards.
gotta go there.
So we try to do that with everything, with burgers, with pretzels, with wings. Like, you're going to
Those
say
wings.
the best wings I ever had.
Those
was
wings
duck
are the best.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. No, I know. And your venue is amazing. When you walk in, like, you think you're in an airport lobby. It's just big, wide open. You got the bar on the side. You got like that
Like a
gift,
retail
gift
shop
stop
off to
on
the right.
right? And then you walk in, and then you see the restaurants, and then you got the vineyards right behind them,
Yeah,
right? And you just get sucked into the place.
Especially right now. It's
Yeah.
it's so gorgeous. It's,
get
Yeah, the whole it evolves.
Yeah.
From the minute you walk into the entrance,
Sure.
the
Yeah.
whole experience evolves.
Yep.
and what's great about it is that the winery is wide open.
Yes.
Like, it's
Right.
not
Yes.
like behind glass,
Yep.
or even the
It's right
brewery.
there.
It's walk through it,
Yep.
check it out, be part of it, see it.
Do you still have the restaurant up in the back, the upstairs one?
So upstairs restaurant is open Friday and Saturday,
Okay.
and then Sunday brunch.
Oh, wow.
And that's I tell you what, you should come to brunch.
Yeah,
It's, we do
What
brunch
time-
our way,
What time is
I
this
think you
served?
just sold me on the brunch.
10 to 2.
10 to 2. All right.
But it's brunch our way. There's no like, I'll have 2 eggs over easy
Right,
with,
right.
choice of like,
Yep.
no, we do it, we
Yep.
do like we do chicken and waffles.
Nice.
We do a couple different omelets.
Good.
We do, right now, ham and eggs, because we've been butchering some pigs and we've been smoking hams. So we do like
Fantastic.
ham and eggs. We do a Benny flight. Flights are huge.
Yep.
So we do this Benny flight where we have one with like a traditional Canadian bacon that we make the Canadian bacon. Then we have one with a big old chunk of brisket.
Right.
And then we have one with corned beef hash, and we make the corned beef. We cure the brisket and make all the corned beef. But then each one has its own kind of hollandaise.
Oh, Jesus.
So the traditional is traditional hollandaise. The
Yeah.
brisket, we make a barbecue hollandaise where we fold some barbecue sauce into it.
Yeah.
Our homemade
Oh, man.
barbecue sauce.
Oh, man.
And then the corned beef hash one,
Yeah.
we make this honey mustard hollandaise that we put on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we make the English muffins.
Oh, jeez.
And the farm down the road grew the potatoes.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's an eggs Benedict,
Yeah.
but
Not like you ever had before.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
stuff that
fantastic.
we controlled all the flavor.
Yeah. So for sure, we'll have a link to Newport Vineyard and maybe even where you can sign up on their mailing list so you can get information about the seasonal restaurants as well as his fire dinner when it gets posted next spring quarter.
Yeah, but we still play with fire other ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
So we do festivals
Okay. On the property.
on the property.
Okay.
We do our own festivals. We have Cider Fest and Harvest Fest coming up.
Nice.
Where I believe at Harvest Fest we're gonna build a big old fire and we're gonna do turkey legs
Oh wow.
hanging over the fire.
Ah,
There you go. Tommy's going.
Yeah.
I'm already marking that day off on
And
my
then,
calendar.
and then because of my Portuguese heritage, a big thing with Portuguese and barbecue is what they call carne spit, meat on a stick.
Oh.
So
Is that
I have my
Is that
grandfather.
I'm sorry. Is that the espetada?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I have my grandfather, who was a chef in Europe, his spits.
Oh, wow.
That are like
Yeah,
6 feet
yes.
long.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to do Portuguese steak sandwiches, and we're going to cook them over the fire on the
When
spit.
is this? When
So
is
this will be.
I'm gonna check.
I'm going to get you the link, Tommy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm there.
You need the
I am
link.
there. I am going.
So yeah, this will be in November. October is Harvest Fest.
Yep.
We're doing a festival every month. So September's Cider Fest.
Yep.
And then we're doing Harvest Fest in October. And then we're doing like a 30th anniversary fall festival in November.
Good.
And then we'll have Thanksgiving, which we do food for Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
So you can order pre-made food
Okay.
to pick up Thanksgiving Eve.
Oh, nice.
Like if you want a turkey breast,
Right.
you want gravy, you want bone broth, you want me to enhance, you want stuffing, you want the whole works, pies, all that. So we do all that Thanksgiving, and then we go right into
Fantastic.
Christmas. And then,
Are you at the events, the cider event, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're there?
Yeah.
Because I tell you, one thing I've been thinking about now that our team is growing and growing here at Wise Guys BBQ, I wanted to get out for a dinner. Maybe we should try to time out one of these events and come up and see you and do that.
the events are cool because it's like street style.
Yep.
It's a festival.
Right.
So you come in, for the, you get tickets for taste of beer and wine.
Right.
And then we have all the food stations, and you
Yeah.
just walk up and try different things. We do like this chicken and waffle sandwich. We do all kinds of fun
we're
things.
gonna get
Brisket chili where we
Right.
smoke. I had a guy tell me one time, he's watching me in the kitchen. We smoked 12 briskets and then diced them and
Oh,
turned them
wow.
into chili.
Somebody must have
whole
been
lot of chili.
horrified.
Yeah,
After
they're
all that
like,
work, what are you doing to my brisket?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I've never made one, but I have a friend who makes a brisket chili, and it's supposed to be fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you got that smoky,
Yeah.
and we make it with a lot of our beer, so it's got some
Fun.
good flavor in it. But
Yeah, well, if you guys want to go to some of these festivals, we're going to put the link there, but let us know too, because we're going to go up. You can come on up there with us and enjoy the time. Please also like and subscribe if you get a minute, because otherwise Meg gets really mad that I don't say that on film. So please hit that
rolling
like
the
button.
eyes.
yeah.
Gotta sell. So
great.
I love being able to tell our story.
Yeah, I love
you
hearing
know,
it.
Um,
I
you
could
know,
listen to this all night. all day.
I still, after 9 years, run into people that go, "Oh, they do food."
yeah,
like you said, they got to take the ride. They gotta get over the bridges.
But because it's what's called an agro destination.
Yeah.
We're an agricultural destination.
Yep.
But yeah, no. If anyone who comes out, ask for me, say hi. I'm there.
8
good
days a
5-6 days a week. I try to balance it, but I'm there a lot.
Awesome.
Definitely say hello. Like us all on all the social, and definitely come check it out because it's a good time. It's a lot of fun there.
Awesome. Well, Chef, this was special. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for doing
Thank
this
you.
with us, and allowing Tommy and Meg to have fun at your fire
yeah,
dinner.
absolutely.
it
Yeah,
was
a
it was
treat.
a pleasure.
an
Yeah.
event to remember. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was great. So you're out there, guys. Eat more barbecue. Let's go to an event at Newport Vineyards, and thanks for being around another week.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Cheers.